Yes, I know that this is episode number 69, and I realize there's probably more than a few people out there who are expecting me to do or say something immature, but that's just not who I am. Okay, as soon as you grow up, you realize that 69 is literally just a number that comes after 68, right? And then again right before 70, and that's it. It's just a number in between. And I consider myself to be one of the elite few who have grown to not make crude jokes and or references to this number in particular. So if you are one of those people, you should know that this show is mature. What's up, YouTube? Jason here with Jason What's up, YouTube? Jason here with Jason Bytes Back, episode number 69. In today's video, we're going to be looking back and discussing some of the previous comments over the last month. Now, this show used to be brought to you by all of my awesome Patreon members, but I've since moved to members on YouTube. So if Editing Jason figures out how to use the YouTube system to list that, then I will list that at the end of this video. So thank you very much for all you members, AKA the tier 1, like patrons. I have enablers, I have antagonists, right? Thank you all to Thank you all to who are a part of this community. I appreciate you for supporting my madness. Wow, I cannot talk today. So with all that said, I'm going to jump right into the questions because I don't have really anything super interesting to ramble on about. So here we go. The first question is from Joe. He said, Blue Iris, why? Shinobi Pro is where it's at. Well, Joe, that is actually a decent question, and I will tell you exactly why. Shinobi Pro is like $75 freaking a month. Are you crazy? That's $900 a year. Do you know how much Blue Iris is? For real though, Blue Iris is $29.99 a year for renewing your subscription. Initially, I think it's like $60. The idea of jumping over to Shinobi Pro at $75 a month for my little home built server thing, that is just kind of insane to me. But to be fair, I know very little about Shinobi except from going to the website, seeing how much it cost for a pro, and just noping myself out of that website. Okay, that's a lie. I did get on YouTube and I looked up some videos to see if there's like any coverage or people talking about it, and it doesn't really seem to have a lot of community support or, fan videos or anything like that. So to answer your questions as to why, it's because, well, one, primarily, Blue Iris is set up. I've been using it for years, and it's just kind of like Plex. Like everything is set up. All the people like have access to Plex, so it's like, why mess with them? My Blue Iris is set up. I have all my devices that I want to have access to it. They already have access to it. Like everything is just kind of functioning. So going back and changing it just doesn't really seem like a reasonable idea. At least not right now. At least not without a real reason to do so. A real reason would be like a 0-day exploit or something that makes my server completely vulnerable to the world that, there's no support to fix. Like something I would either A, have to cut off remote access to, or B, switch to an entirely different platform. Which, by the way, the $29.99 annual subscription fee to Blue Iris is kind of sort of optional. Like once you buy it, the renewal thing is just updating it. Like that's all you get. You get updates and things like that. So I continue to update it because I know from my experience that Blue Iris gets a ton of requests from the internet because it is live on the internet and I access it with my phone. It gets a ton of connection requests that gets denied by the firewall. All those web crawlers and default password browsers and stuff like that. I would imagine most of the requests that I get are from those crawlers or just people using default passwords or attempting to use default passwords. But the point is that I have a lot of connections that are incoming. I don't really know the best way to handle that aside from having beefed up security and updated software. So $29.99 seems like a very reasonable fee for me. But on top of that, I do get some other features like a very easy to use layout system. Even though I can't remote into it, I have to be on the actual server itself, which there's some flaws. I can write some things to one drive and then move them to another drive when they get so old. Motion detection, car detection, people detection. I mean, there's some things that you're going to find in other software, and I'm sure if I explored those other softwares, I might find some similar things that I enjoy. But reference number one, where Blue Iris is set up, and shy of any major reason to switch over, I personally don't see a reason to. Next question is from Mike. He said, what is that visual on your Unraid dashboard of your hard drive array about 2 minutes into the video? Well, Mike, that is a plugin for Unraid called Disk Location. It's pretty simple, actually. You install it, you set it up, and then you can configure, literally just based off the hard drive serial numbers, you can configure the location of which your hard drives are. You can set the columns and rows, and you can customize it to your own needs. You can change the colors. You can do quite a few different things, actually. It's pretty cool. And I know that at least one person, maybe more than one person, made the comment, why put your hard drives on the floor? You don't need to put them back in the same spot. I heavily disagree. I didn't want to go in and reconfigure disk location, and I really didn't want to label the drives, and I had to set them somewhere. And setting them on the carpet was pretty much the safest alternative to stacking them somewhere where the cat can knock it over, because that's what cats do, would knock over hard drives. Next question is from Retro Mags. He said, again, you're blowing the dust out of your machine into your house. Why don't you take it outside so you aren't making the rest of the space dirty with dust? Question mark. I don't understand this, and you've done this on here at least once before. Well, Brian, you are absolutely right. You see, in my head, I think to myself, one, I don't want to lug this thing all the way upstairs. Two, it's super cold and I don't want to go outside and put my jacket. It's just a whole thing. Three, for some reason, every time I blow it out, I think to myself, the dust isn't going to be that bad, right? I'm going to point this duster at this computer and just like a little bit of puff of dust is going to come out. It's delusional and it's not a realistic thought. But for some reason, I think maybe this time will be different. And then by the time I realize that it's not different, it's already too late. And a video was born. And aside from just wanting to get it on video, that's pretty much the extent of my list. Next question is from Cole G. He said, Jason, you got to take those plastic stickers off the LCDs of your Unify stuff. Cole, in 10 years, when I'm done with these routers, I will literally be able to put them in the box and throw them on eBay as brand new open box, right? Brand new because of those stickers. Next question is from Mernurata. This is on the 2022 Plex Unraid server build, Quick Sync Beast. He said, great video. I've been obsessing about a budget Plex server build, but then always end up with ideas like yours. That is how you end up burning your house down. Don't do that. Have you thought of creating a RAM drive to your transcoding task? 128 gigabit of DDR5 seems a bit much. Half of it as a RAM drive sounds nice, maybe. Yes and no. Now what I'm about to say is for Plex on Unraid specifically. If you go into your settings for your Docker container and you change your transcoding directory to /tmp, it will automatically transcode those to your RAM. There are probably some alternative methods to doing this, but this is more of like a dynamic RAM disk. If you have something like a Windows machine, or maybe, I don't know, is Unraid completely different from Linux? I have no idea from like other Linux builds, but if you have any other system that doesn't have this quick little, setting that you could do to do a RAM transcoding, I would heavily recommend looking into RAM transcoding if you can. The only problem with something like Windows is that you have to basically chunk out a RAM disk every time, like you're using 64 gigs. So if anything else in the system wants to use the memory while Plex is not using it, that RAM disk is still carved out in reservation for Plex. However, the performance boost is pretty nice, so I highly recommend it. Next question is from Aaron Johnson. He says, iGPU isn't always an option on a server platform. Supermicro has some boards where the onboard GPU for the IPMI kills the ability to use the iGPU. Ask me how much money I wasted on a Xeon before finding this out. This is on a video that I said I'm done with GPUs, and now I'm interested. First of all, I am done with GPUs, for the time being at least. I am done with GPUs for Plex because Quick Sync is just such a beast. It's hard to compare the numbers. But something I haven't used is the IPMI system, like being able to monitor and manage your servers with the IPMI. I have zero experience in that. I have no devices that use that. I don't even know what that's like. So I would be really curious to find out how rampant this is. I looked it up on Google. It seemed like some people had issues, but then it also seemed like a lot of other people had solutions. So that's kind of interesting. Obviously, I just upgraded my server, so I don't have any immediate plans to switch over to that, but I do know people that I've talked to on Discord that use the IPMI. They rely on it. They like to be able to go in there. They monitor their temperatures. They can reset their computers. Like, it seems like a very attractive option. It's just something that I haven't messed with yet. So if it's popular and people are using it, I can't help but to wonder how much of a thing that is. And that makes me wonder that moving forward on my next upgrade, depending on what server class thing I may or may not get, am I gonna have issues? So if you have any real world experience with that, make sure to leave some comments down below. All right, next question is from DOPRZPE. This is for the Quadro RTX 4000 being a waste of money for Plex transcoding. He said, I'm seeing the 4000 for less than the 2000 on eBay. I actually read this for less than $2,000, but he meant less than the P2000 on eBay. Is it still not worth it as a newbie? If it is better and cheaper, it's a no-brainer, right? What am I missing? Yes, technically it is better than the P2000. It supports more codecs, it can handle more transcode. In fact, I think it has 2 gigabytes more RAM, or actually, yeah, 6. However, it's still a graphics card playing in a world where we have something as magical as QuickSync. Now, if you're like the previous commenter and for whatever reason cannot use an iGPU and then you need a graphics card, then abso-freaking-lutely, I would look into the RTX 4000 as a very reasonable option. Something you should know about the RTX 4000 from firsthand experience is that they do run really hot and it can be easy to fry one. I'm not saying I fried mine, but it doesn't work and it smells. I am, however, heavily considering, and I haven't pulled the trigger yet, and I think a lot of you guys will understand why, there's someone linked to me an A2000, a Quadro A2000, that has a 10 to 15% performance decrease from the RTX 4000. This is on Amazon and it's $250. I don't know how long it's gonna last like that. It's only from one seller. It's not like a massive release, but it's $250 with no external power requirements. Everything operates off of the PCIe Express slot. No power hookups. So a significant boost over the P2000, not quite as good as the RTX 4000, but has a bigger cooler, hopefully would run cooler because of the bigger cooler, and it does not require any kind of power hookups. And you might be thinking to yourself, for $250 on Amazon, holy crap, that is a no-brainer and you want to go out and immediately buy it. I caution you. I want you to keep in mind all of the latest stuff going around about graphics card miners turning around and selling old graphics cards, like rebranded, repainted, like selling them as brand new. Literally, they have been burnt out, used, abused, like there's had new thermal stuff put on them, maybe fried, maybe I don't know if these are used cards, but at $250 for 10% less of an RTX 4000 directly off of Amazon, that seems a little too good to be true. Some spider senses are going off. If anyone actually has that card, comment or like tag me on Twitter or something, because I'm really considering it just to have it as like a low power alternative to an RTX 4000. If you do want to learn more about it, I will link it in the description below, but seriously, consider everything that I just said with the whole GPU market thing right now. Just look at it. Like, that's all it is. It's just something to look at and be like, sus. All right, next question is from Darren Orange, who says, also make sure your actual UPS can communicate with the machines you are backing up so they can shut down gracefully in the event it is needed. This is actually a video I was talking about using those mobile power stations as an alternative source of extra power that would go behind my regular UPS system. And I just wanted to comment on that because I set up some preliminary things and I did some basic testing, and then I had some massive power downs, massive issues. And I've learned a few things, right? Somebody else commented, and I don't know if I took a screenshot, but they're basically talking about the phasing, like as far as the hertz, is that the switches or the UPSs might require a different power source to function correctly. And he says, let's see, the different power source inputs a different 60 hertz for it to work properly, i.e. one plug in a UPS, another plug in another UPS. Pretty much, this is a learning curve for me. I plug some things in and things power down. I tried some power tests and it basically failed my main UPS and it failed the home battery backup. So everything kind of exploded. It didn't literally explode, but it had issues and it powered a lot of things down. So really now I'm just kind of stuck on, all right, I got to try different home power stations, make sure that most of them have pure sine wave, and I bought a pure sine wave tester to make sure that everything is checked up and actually pure sine wave, which is new for me and my channel. And I'm growing and evolving and trying to expand my power source accordingly. And that rolls into the next question, which is from Duncan Tube. He said, wouldn't a whole home generator be more cost effective? 3K for 3,000 watts seems high dollar. You're absolutely right. And that is why I bought myself a Predator super quiet 9,500 watt generator. I've had this thing for the better part of probably 2 or 3 weeks. I haven't messed around with it too much, primarily because I know that I have to run wires and I have to do transfer switches, and I'm not really sure where I want the transfer switch to go. Like, do I want to put it by the panel? If so, how do I get that to the exterior of the house? How do I switch it over? Where do I connect the generator if I do? All of that, I'm really not sure. There's a lot of things that I was just like, hey, that's on sale. Let's go get that right now, and then figure out the use case for it later. I think at the end of the day, it's probably gonna be, it's gonna sit in the garage, I'm gonna run it periodically, and then the power's gonna go down in like 2 years from now, and I'm not gonna have anything set up, and then I'm gonna be stringing extension cables down into my server room because I didn't set anything up, and it's all false promises, and that's where I'm gonna be. So, but to comment on your comment, absolutely, getting a whole home generator is definitely, like, watts per dollar, way more cost effective. However, you do need some sort of a battery, like a buffer, for whenever your power goes out, your batteries kick in and kind of keep your things up and running temporarily until your generator has the ability to kick in to start not only, having your house on, but also charging those batteries. The last question is from James S. He says, need to replace your lead acid batteries. Should be 4 of them, 12X, 7 amp hour or 9 amp hour. Same size, they are most common ones out there. Replace them and you'll be good. Okay, funny thing. So I'm in this new rabbit hole right now of exploring the option of replacing those multiple 9 amp hour like little batteries, replacing those with a 12 volt lithium ion battery. Now hear me out. Okay, one, I have some 12 volts like just floating around. Their life PO4 lithium iron phosphate, they're floating around. I know that the voltages and the chargings and things like that don't match up. But if I were to, I don't know, maybe get like a 30 amp diode that would restrict the UPS from charging it, and then turn around and get a separate charger, technically speaking, depending on the charger setup that I have, I could really kind of expand my actual UPS power array directly with 12 volt lithium batteries and just have a separate charger. That sounds like a terrible idea, but okay, I'm considering that. And by considering, I mean on a small scale, I've already tried it and ran into some heat issues on the cables. Recorded a video and I decided it was a safety issue, so I haven't actually edited that video together yet. But I'm walking that line of what can I do to not set my house on fire? Yeah. Well, guys, that is it for today. I know this is kind of all over the board, but believe it or not, I've been recording for apparently 50 minutes. So I have a lot of editing to do because apparently I ramble a lot. So as always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, make sure to post those in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, like, and subscribe, and have yourself a great day. That is really annoying, just beeping at me. Like, yeah, I know, I got 3 minutes left. Okay, so I have multiple batteries. I'm not gonna go get them because I don't know where they are, but I do have some here. So this is the battery that I was playing with. I have it laying here because, well, I was playing with it. And as you can see from the dust, it's been a few weeks, but the charging that was coming out of the UPS was something like 13.2 volts, I think. It might have been higher. I have to refer to the video. But there is a mismatch, obviously. I mean, you have a lithium iron phosphate versus, a UPS system that was expecting a lead acid, battery. So I'm not that dumb. I understand there's a difference there. But my idea of having a one-way, like a diode, having a one-way power thing to where I could use this one, because I actually have 2 of these, and then I have another 12 volt over there. That would be 300 amp hour worth of battery that I could potentially hook up to a UPS or multiple UPSs that handle more power. With thick enough cable, I could support multiple UPSs on a separate battery array with a separate battery charger and the most jank UPS backup system setup to be ever known online. What do you think? Is that a really dumb idea? I haven't done it yet because I've been thinking about it and I think it's a really dumb idea. But also there's a big part of me that thinks, how dumb could it really be if you just don't set it on fire. You should be good. Oh yeah! 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 That was probably one of the weirdest things I've ever done. Holy crap. 69